with this baby blue moment. Break down this outfit for me. And the butterfly.
Okay, well...
A 911 call in 2018 changed everything for Tori Spelling. Police found her having a complete breakdown with her 5 children in the house, but this was just the beginning of her shocking confessions. At 52, she revealed how her father's $600 million empire left her with almost nothing, how her marriage became a nightmare of public humiliation, how she went from a 56,000 square foot mansion to living in motels. And the most heartbreaking part? Her teenage daughter was the one who finally told her to leave. This is the story of a Hollywood princess who lost everything. Tori Spelling was born on May 16, 1973, into a life few could even imagine. Her father, Aaron Spelling, was already building a television empire that would later be valued at $600 million. Her mother, Candy, had theater dreams of her own and pushed hard for social status. Tori's middle name, Davy, came from her grandfather and honored the family's Jewish roots. But despite all the luxury, her childhood would be anything but peaceful. By the time Aaron passed away in 2006, Tori received only $800,000 from his estate, a small fraction of what most people expected. When Tori was 12, her parents bought a piece of property that once belonged to Bing Crosby. Candy, who adored Crosby, didn't preserve the home. She demolished it. In its place, they built what became known as the Manor, the largest private residence in Los Angeles County. The entire project took 6 years. When Tori finally moved in at 17, she was walking into a 56,000 square foot mansion with around 100 to 25 rooms. The basement alone had a bowling alley, arcade, salon, gym, bar, and even a doll museum filled with custom dolls of her and her mother. The staff had their own wing on the second floor, but the house never felt like home to Tori. She later said her dad preferred small, cozy places, and the mansion was really her mom's dream. Tori attended Westlake School for Girls, a place known for educating Hollywood's elite. But her acting career started even earlier. At age 6, Aaron hired a private acting coach. By the time she was 8, she appeared on her first show, Vega. From there, she kept getting roles on shows her father produced: The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, T.J. Hooker, and Hotel. These weren't accidents. Aaron gave her a small role in almost everything he made. By 17, she had landed the part of Donna Martin in Beverly Hills 90210. Her childhood wasn't just shaped by fame and money. It was also marked by violent tension with her younger brother, Randy. He was born in 1978, and despite growing up in a mansion with full-time staff and security, the two siblings often fought like they were raised in chaos. In a 2024 podcast, Tori admitted she once tried to stab Randy with a letter opener during an argument. She also said she once threatened him with a rock. Randy remembered her as someone who could suddenly snap into a different person when angry. As she grew older, the pressure to live up to her father's name became unbearable. Tori said she never felt connected to the wealth that surrounded her. Even with private tutors and staff, she developed deep issues with self-worth. She constantly questioned whether her success was earned or given. The expectations were sky high, and her mother's obsession with appearance only added to it. Later in life, Tori would face serious financial problems. She once said that growing up rich made it impossible to understand how to manage money. Even when she tried to live more simply, she couldn't let go of expensive habits. Eventually, she found herself living in trailer parks and RVs, a shocking fall for someone raised in unimaginable luxury. Her acting career continued in strange, complicated ways. When she played Violet Bickerstaff on Saved by the Bell, she was only 14. The character was shy, nerdy, and had a signature snort, something Tori added during the audition. Fans loved it. Even though the role was small, it ended up being her first on-screen kiss with Dustin Diamond's character, Screech. She even had her first real date with Mario Lopez during that time. Though Violet didn't return for the reboot, people still remembered her. That short role proved she had actual talent, not just connections. In fact, she won a Young Artist Award in 1991 for that performance. Tori Spelling grew up surrounded by cameras, gossip columns, and TV scripts. But what made her childhood so unusual wasn't just the wealth or fame. It was how early she had to start hiding who she was. When she auditioned for Beverly Hills 90210, she didn't use her real last name. She didn't want people to know she was Aaron Spelling's daughter. Still, she landed the role of Donna Martin. That role would make her famous, it would also follow her for the rest of her life. From 1990 to 2000, she played a sweet, innocent teen with strict parents and strong values. Her decision to stay a virgin on the show turned her into a symbol. Fans rallied around the phrase "Donna Martin graduates" after a prom scandal nearly got her kicked out of school. The phrase became a part of pop culture, and so did Donna. But that spotlight came with a cost. By the time she wrote her autobiography in 2008, she wasn't just reflecting on fame. She was describing damage. That bubbly, naive character had taken over her real identity. People saw her as ditzy. Even in her own relationships, she felt trapped. Her then-husband called her Donna during intimate moments. She later admitted it gave her chills in the worst way. Her sense of self faded. She described herself as someone who couldn't form her own opinions, constantly chasing approval. That one role, meant to be a career highlight, had boxed her in. It shaped how others saw her, and worse, it shaped how she saw herself. In real life, Tori had her own teenage romance on set. She and Brian Austin Green were more than just co-stars. They dated in 1990 and 1991. Their relationship ended with a dramatic moment at Disneyland, where Green rented out part of the park for the cast. Tori told him she never wanted to see him again. He kissed her anyway. Then everything went quiet for 18 years. When they reunited in 2024 for a podcast, the tension returned. Tori remembered their first time together vividly. Brian said he didn't even recall it. That one statement captured the distance between them. They had once promised they'd stay close forever, even take vacations together. But at a 90210 DVD event, Tori walked in with her husband, Dean McDermott, and didn't speak to Brian at all. He later said their connection had always been more intense than normal. But intensity doesn't always last. Friendships didn't survive the spotlight either. Shannon Doherty had been one of Tori's closest friends, but one relationship tore them apart. Tori was dating someone abusive, someone she later described as violent and addicted. During a trip to Mexico, Shannon gave her an ultimatum: either break up with him or she'd take matters into her own hands. Tori refused. Shannon felt betrayed. From that moment, things began to fall apart. They couldn't even remember when the friendship ended. It just faded. Years later, on Shannon's podcast, they talked through the pain. Shannon was frustrated that Tori never spoke up for herself, never took a clear stand. That silence became the wedge that pushed them apart, and the silence lasted years. But not every role she took after Donna was soft or gentle. In 1994, she played a victim in a made-for-TV movie based on a real murder case. In A Friend to Die For, she played Stacy Lockwood, a popular girl who's killed by a jealous classmate. It was a huge shift from Donna. Viewers started off feeling bad for her, but her character was so mean that sympathy slowly drained. Critics were stunned. They said she nailed the performance and showed a darker, more complex side. It wasn't just a role, it was proof that she could do more than play sweet. But even that success didn't come without criticism. When 90210 ended, she tried to pivot toward indie films. But her first major project, The House of Yes, lost nearly 60% of its $1.5 million budget. It brought in just $626,057 at the box office. Her second project, Trick, cost $450,000 and made a little over $2 million. That was considered a modest win. Still, it wasn't enough to push her into serious film stardom. Audiences couldn't separate her from Donna, and that shadow followed her into every theater. With films not working out, she went back to TV, this time in TV movies. Between 1994 and 1996, she was everywhere. She starred in titles like Awake to Danger, Co-Ed Call Girl, and Mother, May I Sleep with Danger? The industry gave her a nickname, Queen of Television Movies. It was half praise, half insult. These roles usually showed her in danger, running, crying, being saved. While she worked non-stop, she wasn't breaking new ground. She was stuck in a cycle of melodrama that made her both popular and creatively boxed in. By 2003, she tried again with a sitcom. So Downtown aired on the WB. She played a fashion designer, but ratings were terrible. The network didn't even bother to finish airing all the episodes. Her shot at primetime comedy vanished. Sitcoms were dying. Reality shows were booming. And Tori's career would have to follow the trend. In a move no one expected, she jumped into children's animation. Starting in 2011, she voiced the pirate princess in Jake and the Neverland Pirates on Disney Junior. The character had been trapped and cursed before being rescued by Jake's crew. It was a far cry from tabloid scandals, but even here, the spotlight had limits. She didn't sing. Disney used someone else's voice for that. Still, this role kept her working, and that became more important as her finances got worse. In 2000, 2001, she appeared in Scary Movie 2. It could have been a big break, but behind the scenes, chaos ruled. A planned nude scene was later scrapped, though her father had encouraged her to do it, thinking it would help her career. The directors often canceled filming after actors had already been in makeup. Scripts were rewritten on set. Despite her efforts, most of her scenes were cut. It left her feeling exploited. She gave everything, and they edited her out. Then came reality TV. In 2006, she starred in So Notorious, a show that mocked her own life. NBC had rejected it, but VH1 picked it up. She played a version of herself with a spoiled mother, a sassy dog, and eccentric friends. Critics liked it, but it only lasted 10 episodes. Still, it gave her something no other role had: control of her story. For once, she made fun of herself before anyone else could. That same year, she and Dean launched Home Sweet Hollywood. They gambled everything, including her $800,000 inheritance from her father's $600 million estate, on a bed and breakfast in Fallbrook. But reports later revealed they hadn't actually bought the property. They leased it. The entire business was shaky from the start. In a bold move, Tori officiated a gay wedding on camera to boost attention. The show pulled in 1.4 million viewers and broke records for Oxygen. Tori Spelling didn't just write books. She opened the gates to her private life and let the world walk through every broken hallway. In 2008, her first memoir came out. It was called Storytelling, and people couldn't stop reading it. By September, it hit #1 on the New York Times bestseller list and stayed there for 14 weeks. It even won Bravo's A-List award for Best Celebrity Autobiography the next year. The book pulled no punches. She wrote about how her father, Aaron Spelling, spoiled her with huge birthday parties that cost more than most people made in a year. But she also wrote about the pain of feeling unloved by her mother, about a nose job, a bad marriage, and how she ended up with only $800,000 from her father's estimated $500 million fortune. That number alone stunned readers. She wasn't afraid to admit that telling the truth might cost her relationships, and it did. Still, she kept writing. In 2009, her second book, Mommywood, came out. This one dove into her new role as a mom. It talked about her first C-section and the chaos of having young kids, but it also revealed painful things about her family that pushed them even further apart. Around the same time, her mother, Candy, wrote an open letter saying she hadn't even met Tori's daughter, Stella, who was born in 2008. The fighting didn't stop there. That same year, Candy went on the radio and blamed Tori for her father's death. She said he died of heartbreak after Tori cut ties with the family. The timing of that interview was no accident. It happened right after Mommywood was released. Tori's books were popular, but they left her more isolated than ever. By 2013, the picture got darker. Tori published her third memoir, Spelling It Like It Is, and revealed she was broke. Not struggling, broke. She and her husband, Dean McDermott, had lost money flipping homes. Their $3 million house in Encino sold at a loss. Their Malibu place went for $200,000 less than they paid. Their reality show on Oxygen got canceled, and when Dean wanted a vasectomy, their business manager had to tell him they couldn't afford it. She admitted to spending too much, especially on the kids. Clothes, toys, crafts. She couldn't stop. While pregnant with her fourth child, she spent 10 weeks in the hospital. The bills piled up. She wrote, "I can't afford to live like this anymore." And readers finally understood how far she had fallen from the Hollywood dream. In 2020, something unexpected happened. Tori launched a podcast with Jenny Garth called 902 MG. It was a return to the past, back to Beverly Hills, 90210. The show became her lifeline. Jenny barely remembered filming, but Tori remembered everything. That made her the anchor of the podcast, the one who told the real behind-the-scenes stories. They even addressed old rumors, like the claim that guest stars were told not to look at them. But the timing of the podcast said even more. It launched just as Tori's marriage to Dean was falling apart and money problems returned. By 2024, it had become her main source of income. After 18 years, she filed for divorce, and once again, she turned her personal pain into public content. This time, though, it gave her a platform that helped her stay afloat. Long before the podcast, Tori's first marriage had already been filled with scandal. She married Charlie Shanahan on July 3, 2004. 15 months later, it ended. In July 2005, while filming Mind Over Murder in Ottawa, she met Dean McDermott. He was married too, 12 years in, with actress Mary Jo Eustace. That same night, Tori and Dean began an affair. She later said it was instant love. She saw his wedding ring. She had a husband too. It didn't matter. She wrote that she felt no guilt, just the overwhelming feeling that she had to be with him. That one night fight blew up 2 marriages, and it started the years of chaos that followed. Motherhood brought love and fear. Tori had 5 children through 5 C-sections. Liam in 2007, Stella in 2008, Hattie in 2011, Finn in 2012, and Beau in 2017. But the birth of Finn nearly killed her. At 20 weeks, she was diagnosed with placenta previa. She bled 9 times during the pregnancy. One morning, she woke up to blood running down her legs. The condition got worse with each pregnancy. Doctors warned her that back-to-back C-sections made recovery harder. Finn had to be delivered in an emergency, and 3 weeks after Beau was born, she was rushed to the hospital again for surgery. She kept pushing her body, risking everything for one more baby. It wasn't just about growing a family. It felt like she was trying to prove something, but no pain hit as hard as what happened after Tori Spelling died in 2006. The man behind some of the biggest shows in TV history left behind an estimated $500 to $600 million. Tori inherited just $800,000 after taxes. That was less than 0.2%. Her mother got the rest. The public assumed there must be more to the story, and there was. Candy later said Tori's silence had killed Aaron. She told a radio show that her daughter cut them off. Dean McDermott later called it cruel, saying, "A mother should never abandon her daughter and grandchildren like that." Aaron had always played the good cop. Candy was the one who said no. Tori thought the money had been set up to force them to fix things. Instead, it left a wound that never healed. By 2023, the damage inside Tori's marriage had become too much to hide. It was their daughter, Hattie, who finally said what no one else could. She was 13. She walked up to her mother and asked, "Have you ever thought about being with someone else? Someone who treats you right?" That one question changed everything. Tori was stunned. Hattie was scared to even bring it up, but she had seen the drinking. She had seen the fights. Tori later admitted that staying together had become more damaging than separating. She said she thought keeping the family whole was best for the kids. In the end, it hurt them more. Hattie gave her the clarity she couldn't find on her own. On a warm June morning in 2011, Tori Spelling was just trying to get her kids to school. She was pregnant with her 3rd child and had her 2 young children, Liam and Stella, in the car. Suddenly, everything turned chaotic. A paparazzi began chasing her car through the streets of Los Angeles. In a panic, she lost control and crashed straight into a school wall. Her car was wrecked. The property was damaged. But what made it worse was the photographer's reaction. Instead of helping, he got out of his car and kept snapping pictures. 10 school moms ran over to chase him away. Later, Tori tweeted about the crash, sharing her fear and asking if someone would have to die before paparazzi backed off. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but she immediately rushed to the doctor to check on her unborn baby, shaken and terrified. 7 years later, in March 2018, everything came crashing down again. At 7 a.m., police showed up at Tori's house in Woodland Hills. Someone had called 911 saying she was having a full mental breakdown. She wasn't violent, but she was hysterical and falling apart. Her 5 kids were in the house when it happened. Stress had built up from every direction: credit card debt, lawsuits, tax liens, and constant fights with her husband, Dean McDermott. Just the night before, she had called the police herself, thinking someone was breaking in. It turned out to be Dean. That morning, he was the one who called for help. Tori had reached a breaking point. She'd been so busy taking care of everyone else that she forgot to care for herself. Then, in April 2024, she shocked everyone on her podcast. While stuck in traffic on the 101 freeway, she said she had to pee so badly that she ended up using her son Beau's diaper. She'd been digging through her oversized bag and found 1 diaper left, so she put it on and used it right there in the car. Her audience couldn't believe what they were hearing, but she laughed through the story. She said it was just another moment in the chaos of motherhood. What made it so wild was how easily she shared it. No shame, no hesitation, just honesty and humor. It was embarrassing, but she turned it into a viral podcast moment. 4 months later, in August 2024, things got even stranger. During a podcast conversation with 93-year-old William Shatner, Tori revealed that her husband Dean used to call her Donna Martin during sex. That was the name of her teenage character on Beverly Hills, 90210. Dean had been obsessed with the show, and he brought that obsession into their private life. She said it so casually, but listeners were stunned. The episode quickly got uncomfortable as the two talked about explicit topics like OnlyFans, enemas, and sex tapes. Tori didn't hold back. Shatner, who had known her since childhood, just listened. It felt more like a shock jock radio show than a podcast from a mother of 5. But behind the outrageous moments, the real problem was money. In July 2016, the state of California hit Tori and Dean with a tax lien of $259,108.23 for unpaid taxes. Around the same time, American Express sued them for $37,981.97. Just 3 months later, another Amex lawsuit came for $87,595, 55 hours on a separate account. Tori admitted later in 2019 that she never learned how to handle money. She had always relied on business managers since she was 18. That dependency left her completely unprepared. Even though she had income from projects like Mystery Girls, the bills kept piling up. It was a brutal fall from a $600 million family fortune. In October 2014, Tori landed in Cedars-Sinai Hospital with breathing problems, a high fever, and a violent cough. The staff thought she had Ebola and placed her in full quarantine. She actually had bronchitis, a sinus infection, and pneumonia. The coughing wouldn't stop. The real cause wasn't just illness, it was stress. She had been under intense pressure from her failing marriage and non-stop money problems. She had already been hospitalized that same year in April, staying 6 days for an undisclosed issue. Dean visited her every day, but even then, things between them were falling apart. Her body was collapsing under emotional weight. In April 2024, she revealed something that went deeper than money or fame. She said she regretted turning down offers from Playboy. She was 51 now and felt she missed her chance. But it wasn't just about posing. It was about reclaiming her body after years of insecurity. She talked about a sex tape that almost got leaked. And when asked if she was worried, she said she only cared about whether she looked good in it. That small comment said everything about her self-image. Growing up as the producer's daughter and always being cast as the virgin had damaged her confidence for years. By the time she was ready to own her body, she felt like the chance had passed. Now, in 2025, Tori says she's ready for anything. She describes herself as having DNA built for a world war. Her focus is on co-parenting and healing. She's rebuilding her image and confirmed her appearance at 90s Con in March, where she'll reunite with her old 90210 castmates. She even mentioned the absence of 2 beautiful members, likely referencing Luke Perry. Behind the smiles, though, she's still working through the pain. She said Dean was never an emotional partner, just another set of hands. She's still picking up the pieces of a life that looked perfect from the outside, but was breaking from within. And through it all,